That's interesting. I've turned the sonar off, and yet they're still showing up. Bit of a bug there, perhaps. You do a save about every 10 minutes, yeah. Well, up until the patch this morning, I'd have said that's about the right number. But they seem pretty confident they've fixed it, and I haven't had a crash yet. And I've just dropped... How many did we do today? It's got to be 3 lines, isn't it? 4, maybe? Quite a few. So, I mean, that's more stable than it's been for quite some time. That's 2 hours without a crash. Unless I've forgotten that we've had one. I hate saying that because I feel like I'm tempting fate, but that's the reality of it. It's just over 2 hours without a crash, so it's looking good. It's looking more stable than it was yesterday.
Is the fishing minigame similar to the previous titles?
Orb505, hello and welcome. Hody, I've never heard that term before. Where are you from, Orb505? Is it supposed to say Heidi, or is Hody a thing? I'm curious now. Is the fishing minigame similar to the previous titles? Yeah, almost identical, I'd say. Except the only difference I can think of off the top of my head is we used to have coloured circles that made it really easy to like pull the fish in and gut the fish and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's implemented yet, or possibly they're doing away with that so that it's more realistic, but I don't know. It was supposed to be howdy, fair enough. New keyboard. I could do with a new keyboard. And is the camera on? Oh, that camera's on. Let me show you the state of my keyboard. Ah, just as the camera goes off. I won't bother lifting it up because it's probably all the keys will fall off. Yeah, I'm missing one key, and I've got about 5 on there that are not the key they're supposed to be. I don't recommend buying this particular brand of Corsair. I can't remember what it's called now, but don't buy it. Corsair know that their keys are terrible as well, because when I complained, they said, our bosses have informed us that we can send you... I think they sent me 12 key replacements. I'd broken 1 key, and I was really annoyed about it because they wanted like £35 for... £35 to replace 4 or 5 keys. That's ridiculous, right? Absolutely disgusting. So I complained, and they said that our bosses allow us to send you, I think it was 5 keys or 7 keys or something. So at that point, I'd only broken 1 key, and it was the shift or the control key. I can't remember now. I think it was the control key. No, it was the shift key, sorry. So I had to, in that moment, guess what the next 7 keys that were going to break were. I mean, how flipping ridiculous is that? So I did. I guessed. I said, well, the shift key again, because that makes sense, right? Because it was the first one to break. Followed by the control key, because I could see that going. And then probably WASD. So I replaced all of those keys. And then they're not the ones that broke. I lost an H and an F with the next 2 keys to break. And then I did lose a control. So I got 1 right, but I got 2 wrong. So that was a slight side note there, just to bring you all up to speed on my keyboard situation. It's yeah, it was annoying for the first couple of weeks, but I'm kind of getting used to having no key on the F key. Kind of. I do need to get a new keyboard. It's silly. The worst thing is, those 7 keys that came in an envelope, I buggered if I know where I've put them. It is, it's cap key roulette, yeah. Yeah, I don't recommend Corsair anymore. Corsair, I believe, have just taken over Fanatec. Did you hear that? Now, if you follow stocks and shares, you'll know that Corsair's stock price has absolutely gone through the floor. And I believe, personally, it's because their prices are too high. They bought up the Stream Deck company as well. Yeah, Fanatec was really struggling, and I think they went into administration, and they did a deal with Corsair, and Corsair have bought them out. You've got your fishing boat, you've named it Pike Destroyer. Very nice. You're off to catch. Have I told you guys about my pike incident? I'll tell you now anyway, because I'm sure you haven't all heard this story. So I used to do a lot of fishing when I was a young man. I probably fished consistently up until I was about 12. Don't tell him, Pike. Touche. That was very quick. I like that. 10 points. So yeah, I was fishing in my local canal in Fleet, if you know Fleet at all. And I'd fished in this canal for probably a couple of years.
I have had my Corsair for 3 years and not a single problem. Even spilled a drink on it and took it apart, cleaned the sheets, and has been flawless for the last 3 years.
Oh, fair play, Caleb. I'd like to know what version keyboard you've got, if you can tell me, because I do need to replace this one. I'm sure it's only this model that's the problem. I'm sure there are decent Corsair out there. I didn't mean to completely kibosh them. Anyway, back to my pike story. I'd been fishing in the canal for years and just caught a whole bunch of like little tiddlers, nothing special.
Spent a solid 6 hours in it.
And
Sure there's a ton of promise.
one day there was a dredging machine dredging up the canal, and basically it's just a boat that trudges along very slowly, and it's got like this jaw on the front with spikes on it, and it just digs into the ground and rips up all the reeds and all of the weeds and everything that's underneath the water. Anything that's under the water, we're talking like shopping trolleys, anything like that, just picks them up, lifts them up really high out the water. And I was watching this, £23. Wow. Right, well, I tell you what, I don't know how big this pike was, but I was watching this dredging machine and it pulled a pike out of the thing, and I swear to God this pike was longer than I was tall, and I'm 6 foot. This thing was huge, and when I saw the teeth on that SOB, I immediately, I mean there was also a dredger coming straight towards me, but I immediately picked up all my gear and left, and I've never fished in that canal since that day. That absolutely scared the crap out of me. First of all, I thought if I catch it, it'll probably pull me in. And then I thought if it doesn't pull me in and I pull it out, it's going to bite my flipping hand off. So yeah, I'm absolutely petrified of pike because of that one incident, but that was a big pike. I wouldn't be surprised if it was approaching £23. To be honest with you, it was huge, absolutely enormous. Sanvarus, hello, welcome to the stream. You bought Ships at Sea today after watching my content. Oh, very kind of you, thank you very much. Spent a solid 6 hours in it already and sure has a ton of promise. Fantastic, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Sanvarus, I'm sure you've heard already, but today they released a patch that supposedly and seemingly has fixed all the crashing. So hopefully your game experience will be better than most. Caleb, you got a K55 RGB. Interesting. I could be wrong. I think I have a K100 RGB. So maybe it's just the keys on my K100 that are crap. But then I suppose it does depend on what you do with it, Caleb, as well, because obviously I do a lot of typing on this keyboard. And I used to do a lot of FPS stuff as well, and I think it was that broke the shift key, was the FPS stuff. Oh, that was your biggest pike. Sorry, your biggest pike. I misread it earlier. I thought it was the biggest pike in Scotland. So your biggest pike, £23. Good God. I've got to be honest with you, Genocide Jim. If you and I were out there fishing and you pulled in a £23 pike, you wouldn't see me for dust meat. I'd be gone. You'd be like, give us a hand with this, will you? Yeah, I'd be out there. I'd be so far away from the water, it'd be untrue. Dear me. I should go out and catch a pike one day just to see if they're as scary as I think they are. The Tier 2 fishing ship Conquest can be rigged for light cargo. Sorry. The cat sent it early. That's funny. Bloody cats, honestly. They were waking me up last night as well. So it can be rigged for light cargo. That's interesting. That's really cool. Well, looks like there's a bit of a reef coming up. Look at this. A bit of a shallow out there. I can't see it. It's totally invisible. But you can see it on the map, look. It's just to my left now. I don't know how deep it is because the map isn't that detailed, but if I had a bigger boat, I'm sure that would be quite a serious problem. But we got away with it. It's okay. Carry on. Jim, I believe it. They can grow to some size. First time I had a big one, I was hooked. Pardon the pun. Do you actively go hunting pike then? I know fishermen do kind of tend to do that, don't they? They find something they like and they stick at it. I used to really like ledger fishing. That used to be my thing. I don't think you can catch a pike on ledger fishing, but could be wrong. I could be wrong. They do like to swim down the bottom, don't they? Big nasty buggers that they are. Caleb, also having the Night Sword RGB mouse and HA70 Pro wireless headsets and the H150i Elite XT250 Rad. I had an H150i Elite XT240 Rad, I think. Was it a 240 or 120? It might have been a 120 actually. Yeah. Whereas 0 crashes, 0, thank you for the correction, in 6 hours, perfect. Even ran the notorious long cargo run that was crashing for some. So, been lucky, excellent. Yeah, I did that 17 nautical mile run right in the middle of all the crashing and it didn't crash for me either. Having said that, when I got to the port, I went into the shipyard and it crashed, so yeah, I suppose it wasn't really working properly when I did it. And that was back in the day. This is probably before you joined the game, Virus. But that was back in the day where if you saved the game and reloaded it, you always started in Rust, no matter where you were.
It's calling my 11900 KLOL.
Pike fishing all the time. It's like chasing the giant. Yeah, I get that. You love getting out on the locks in your wee boats. You normally troll with up to 25 centimetre lures. Ah. That must make it harder. Or does it make it more fun, Jim, being on the boat? 'Cause you've got less purchase, one, I would imagine. A pike, you know, a pike that size, it could probably drag you around all over the loch if it wanted to. It's calling your 11900K. That's a nice processor right there. I'm only running a 9900K at the moment on this one. It's a bit underpowered, this PC. I have a much more powerful PC over there, but a much less powerful PC over there. So this is my middle PC, but yeah, it's done quite well. I built them all myself. And they're all different. Very, very different. Very different indeed. Right, that's the coffee gone. Hasn't really woken me up that much, I have to say. Nope, that's not a good place to put it. Let's put it there. And this bottle of squash is available. Lovely. Right, how far we got? We're about halfway there. Look at this shoal. I just missed that shoal as well. Or was that the one? I think that might have been it, actually. Shallows. So it's nice to have names on the map. We didn't have this when we started. That made life quite a bit more difficult. Need to, excuse me, change my trajectory somewhat. Need to go sort of northwesterly.
Everyone I talk to warned me
Try and get
of
back on my marker.
because of how hot they get, but have yet to get it very hot. LOL.
Everyone you talk to warned you of using the 11 series because of how hot they get. Ah, interesting. But animal, this build does seem more stable in general, yeah. I think they discovered something in the graphics. I haven't got confirmation of that, but there was... I mean, people were... for a while there, people were proper flapping about. You know, some people were very unhappy. Very unhappy. I've seen some very unhappy people in the Discord. But, yeah. I mean, it was definitely... I mean, I'm a YouTuber, so they gave me my key for free. So I haven't had to pay for it. That doesn't mean that I therefore let them get away with anything. But it's, you know, it's kind of a job for me rather than I've invested my money and I'm playing the game. It's like, it's my job to do it. So putting up with all the crashes and the bugs and the issues and stuff, that's kind of my job. I'm here to point those bugs out to the devs so that they can fix them so you guys don't have to put up with them. That's the point. And then I review the game and I tell you about the bugs and the issues so that when you buy the game, you don't go, oh my god, what the hell's going on here? So it is a bit different for me. But even with that being said, the number of crashes that were happening were really pushing my limits. I mean, I was getting to the point where I had to walk away from the game and have a bit of a break, because having tried to come out and fish, I don't know how many times it's happened to me now, 6, 7, maybe 8 times. Half an hour journey to drop a line and then it crashes. That's really stressful. Really stressful. You needed the 11 so that you could use all 3 M.2 slots. Why did you need an 11 to use 3 M.2s? What's the association there, I wonder? You can't beat the ratchet noise coming from the drag when they strike. £3 test curve rods bent over double, or is that £31 test curve rods bent over double? Bloody hell, though. Bloody hell. Scrambling to turn off the outboard. A decent pike can turn my 4-metre inflatable rib boat. Bloody hell. I think my fear of pike is justified, I really do. They seem like the most horrific fish in the world. They're not even very pretty. I mean, do you think they look pretty when you take them out of the water? I mean, obviously you're proud that you've won the battle, but do you think it's a pretty fish? I think it's a pretty mean-looking bugger. But then I'm scared of them, so anything about them I don't like, I suppose. Excuse me. 4 hours ago you were crashing every 10 to 30 minutes. And when you finally said you were done for the time, you checked the Steam and had an update ready for download. How's that for perfect timing? I mean, to be fair, I don't know if you saw my review before you bought the game, but I personally tried very hard to make it clear that the game was incredibly unstable, and that you were going to have to be patient. But you know, I mean, even saying that, the number of crashes we've had, that was really pushing my patience. It really was. So I'm so glad that they've worked so hard and got it sorted. And I'm really happy they've got it sorted. It feels like they have.
I finished my trip back to unlock tier 2 less then shut it off until now. Horrible fish, it's when you're trying to take the hook up with forceps, its big eye follows you.
The horrible fish. It's when you're trying to take the hook out with its forceps and its big eye follows you. I know, it thinks it's going to eat you. They do, they look, I've seen them be caught by other people, and they literally look at you as if to say, I'm gonna, you know, give me half a second and I'm gonna bite your face off. That's what they look like. Horrible things. Hate them so badly. You had a crash happen yesterday, and when you logged back in, your entire hold of fish. Oh no! And your long lines were gone. Oh man. You finished your trip back to unlock tier 2s and then shut it off until now. Wow. Yeah, that's like a kick in the teeth when that happens, isn't it? I've had a few similar instances. Yeah. I'm so glad they seem to have got it stable now. I'm gonna push the devs and try and get them to make a beta branch, because now we've got something stable. I don't want all the whingy whiny people to just continue whinging and whining all the time. You know, I'd much rather everybody have a stable build that they know they can play and it's not going to break, and then we have a beta for people like me to go and test out new features and basically do what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks. Play the beta, find the bugs, report them back to the devs, they can fix them, and then you guys don't have to put up with it. I'd like it if they could do that. Hey Solder Gaming, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you here, welcome to the stream. You started watching Brad first, and then you found me. Is that Brad's... what's his name? Brad 20... Brad 48? Brad 24? Something like that?
Morning, sir.
Good morning, TMTC1. How did you get on today? Did you get your fish farm up and running properly? TMTC1, another one of the YouTube early access chaps who's been working really hard along with me and everybody else trying to find bugs and fix stuff for you. Brilliant YouTuber, please do go check him out. Really fun guy to watch, and doing some wonderful stuff over there. Hopefully he's got his fish farm up and running. It's something I'm looking to do in the future once he's figured out how to do it, and I'll copy him. Next Monday, is it? Oh, that sucks. I'm doing very well, thank you, buddy. Solder, are you also streaming? I can't remember if you are. If you are, I apologise for not saying so. Moors, it's early access, you fully expect things, but yeah, having the wind kicked out of you isn't fun, so stability is appreciated, yeah. I will make that request, I'll do it in a second actually, before I forget. Something like that. Question for you, is your sunrise and set lines up? Is your sunrise and set lines up with your game time? Because yours isn't. Oh, right. So, that's an interesting question, Caleb, because this high up north, the sun actually comes up at a different time. I think the sun rises at 3 in the morning or something weird like that. So I'm not sure if it's accurate for where we are in the world or whether it's bugged. It could very well be bugged, as could literally everything in this game at the moment. But yeah, that has been brought up as a question before, and I didn't follow it through to the end because I was doing like 100 different things at the time. Excuse me. But yeah, because we're so far north, the sunrise and the sunset are different to normal people. It rises at 8 PM, okay? That doesn't necessarily sound right, so yeah, it's probably bugged then if that's the case. I mean, it's 3:34 now AM, and it looks like the sunrise is coming up to me, but it could very well be going down for all I know. I have to keep an eye on it, I guess. I'm not sure on that one. I'll keep my eyes open and see if I can find an answer for you. Excuse me, I've got a really dry throat. No, you're not streaming right now, but you do stream on YouTube. Okay. Solder Gaming, everybody. Another one of the tribe out there trying to do some fishing and trying to get from A to B without the game crashing and destroying its game save. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Getting a bit of a dry throat. How long have we been streaming now? 2.5 hours. Crikey. Crikey. Right, we're not far off. Oh, I can actually see one of the buildings, look. Oh no, that's not a building at all, that's a marker. Probably a good idea I don't head towards that. It's 8:44 in game for you, and it looks like sunrise in the east. Yeah, I think that's what we've got over there somewhere. It looks okay on mine, I've got to say, but I'll keep my eyes open for it. Oh, hang on, wait a minute, I misread that. It's 8:44 in the game for you, and it looks like sunrise in the east. Ah. Is that 8:44 AM or 8:44 PM? Oh, that's the next relevant question. Oh, it's definitely sunrise for me. So that's weird then. Why is mine working? And I've got sunrise at 3:49, which is supposedly accurate, and it's not working for you guys. That is interesting. What's different between our two games in order for that to happen? I wonder.
Yeah, sorry.
PM. Okay, so you're getting sunrise at PM as well. It's interesting. Huh. I will steer away from the rocks and mention that to the devs, and we'll see how we get on.